The Fed's chairman came out yesterday and had some words. And those words actually were not aimed at Trump, even though he doesn't like Trump, even though Trump doesn't like him. It actually was aimed at the fact that our economy has been in shambles for a long time. Now, the question is, what is he going to try to do about it? And what's his thought pattern on it? We're going to hear directly from him on a clip. We're also going to discuss the state of our agriculture. Our agriculture is what feeds us. So, we talk about all the stuff that we're supposed to get and what we need. Truth be told, there's going to be a startling amount of food that is affected. Upwards of 99%. Now, what does that mean? What are we getting to? Stick around for that. That is unbelievable, the number that just came out, and how dangerous it actually is to our health. 99% now. 99% of our food has got a problem with it. And then we're going to talk about the chokehold on Chinese economics. What we don't see and what no one wants to talk about is the truth behind this is a big, bold, brash, brilliant move when it comes to tariffs. This negotiation will take place because of what we're doing. You may not like it, but this is how the game should be played, especially when people are taking advantage of us. We're going to talk about what just happened with China and how important it is and how it affects us. And honestly, we need to purchase some things because there's escalations in this negotiations. It's going to cause some problems. So I'm going to tell you 5 things that you should purchase this week because they will be affected, either not on shelves or very expensive because of the warnings coming from places like Walmart, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, and also bigger box stores saying, look, right now we're not going to be able to get access to them. 5 things that you should purchase also we'll discuss. Let's dive into these stories today. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Thank you so very much. We humbly appreciate you being here today. If you haven't caught our live from earlier, we did a live. We are really trying to make sure that we are putting ourselves in front of you as much as possible, especially because we've been held down pretty good by this platform. So our goal is to try to give you as much information as possible, and we hope that you're sharing it with people you know, you love, and hopefully you're gaining something out of it. So now let's jump into the stories of today. First, let's talk about what the Fed chair just stated. Now, we're going to show a clip from him in just a moment, but I want to kind of tell you exactly what he said in synopsis, and then we're going to hear it from him. It says, breaking, Fed Chair Jerome Powell is calling for cuts, not to Trump's way. He's actually calling cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. Now, he's not saying that we need to cut the benefits. He's saying the way we've done business, and everybody's entitled, everybody gets everything, the way we've had fraud in our system, the way that we've done business, Congress has had the purse, remember, the way we've done business is unsustainable. He said, we will never solve the debt crisis without solving the waste, fraud, and abuse, and also the problems with these 3 forms of entitlement. Now, I'm not saying there's big changes coming to it. What I'm saying is, you're starting to hear warnings that the way we've done, the status quo, the way these politicians want to keep running America, unlike what Trump is trying to do with tariffs, basically what he's saying is it's unsustainable and America can never go through it. Either recession or depression is coming. Listen to what he said.
You mentioned amongst the issues you were focused on was the U.S. fiscal situation. Well, clearly, U.S. sovereign debt continues to rise. And what are your thoughts on the longer-term implications for interest rates and economic stability? How much further can we go in terms of national debt before we cross a line that might be unsustainable in the long term?
So the U.S. federal debt is on an unsustainable path. It's not at an unsustainable level, and no one really knows how much further we can go. Other countries over time have gone much farther, but we're now, we're running very large deficits at full employment. And this is a situation that we very much need to address. Sooner or later we'll have to, and sooner is better than later. In terms of, if I can say from my time working on these issues, it's not the Fed's issue, but if you look at a pie chart of federal spending, the biggest parts and the parts that are growing are Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and now interest payments. And so that's really where the work has to be done. And those are issues that can only be touched on a bipartisan basis. Neither party can figure out what to do without both parties being at the table. So that's critical.
Well, again, not that we like him, but what he's saying is the way that Congress spends money, the way that they've not handled getting on a budget. He said, and the fact that these DOGE cuts are not going to get enough savings because of the way we're spending money and the fact that really Congress hadn't codified it. He says, look, we're in a bad place, and we better figure out how to get there and fix it. Now, Trump and Powell do not like each other at all whatsoever. And I believe you're going to see Powell lower the interest rate. I really do. Now, I don't think it's good, and here's why. Because I don't think we need to be borrowing more money right now. However, in the way of what Trump wants him to lower the rates. So does percent. So there's benefits to it because our money is cheaper and it's more economic. But what I'm saying is we need to get to the point where we quit borrowing money. When interest is high, we tend to not borrow as much. But I get what they're saying. We want to lower it so for the money that is borrowed, we get better rates for it and so forth. So I understand their point. But what I'm saying is I believe you're going to see the interest rates go lower. So what I tell you not to buy, if you're looking at homes or land or a big purchase, especially automobiles, things like that, I don't know if I'd buy anything right now to see, unless you're getting a really good deal on it, because I'd wait to see what's going to happen, because I don't think he's going to stay at these rates for long. I actually believe they're going to try to help the market by lowering the interest rates. I really do. And I think that's actually what Trump wants. I think that's what Powell does not want to give him the gratification for, but I actually believe that's what's going to happen. Now, once we get past this point, let's look at what Trump is doing on the other side. As he is trying to handle the situation, and I believe, honestly, if Trump probably wouldn't have won by just electoral college, if he would have won just by that and not by the populist vote, I don't know if he'd be so brash in his approach, but I think he's so brash because he sees the writing on the wall. And he, as a businessman, again, someone who does negotiate, has done it for a living, has been talking about tariffs for 40 years. I believe he sees this as a great opportunity. The story came out and said that $21 billion has been taken in since the talks of tariffs and the starting of the tariff situation in early April. So that's a lot of extra money. Now, here's the thing. If you listen to banks, you listen to the stock market, you listen even the Fed Powell, you listen to the Fed, most of them are saying tariffs are bad, tariffs are bad. Well, it's because they're invested in the market and they're seeing the losses there. However, his approval ratings are up actually right now, I think, based on what he's doing to help Americans. Now, let's talk about why I think what he's doing is important and how he is actually doing a brilliant business move. Water is the most important thing that we need in our bodies. The average American is spending $1,350 at least on bottled water every year, when you can have quality water sitting right on your countertop. 240,000 particles and nanoparticles of plastic has been found in every liter of water. So when you're drinking that bottled water, are you actually getting good quality like you think you are? 1.1 million Americans get sick every year because of germs in tap water. 70 million Americans have PFAS, that is forever chemicals, in their water. 105,000 Americans will be diagnosed with cancer because of contaminants in water. Hormonal problems, brain development, all this pertains to the most important thing we need for the body, but one that if it's not correctly purified and not correctly given to us, it could cause harm to our bodies. Now, the sponsor of today's video is Cove Pure. Cove Pure offers the most quality water right on your countertop. Think of the money, again, that you spend on bottled water and the water you're drinking right out of your tap. Both those things we just realized cost us a lot more money or cost us our health in the long run. So how does Cove Pure work and why is it important? It has a 4-filter option. The first is what they call a PP filter. This, of course, gets your normal sand and all your sediment out of your water. Stage 2 is carbon. You're worried about chlorine and those microplastics? Well, this filter helps you here. Number 3 is reverse osmosis. Thousands of harmful things that went through other filtrations now can get cleaned up with reverse osmosis. Then alkalinity. This returns our calcium, our magnesium back to our water, so we're getting the best, highest, most filtered water possible. You can get it at hot, you can get it cold, you can get it lukewarm, you can get it cool. You set the temperature. You also set how much you're wanting per cup. Water is the most important thing that we can offer to our body, and Cove Pure is the best filtration for you, and it sits right on your cabinet. Check out my link below, covepure.com/themax. Get $200 off when using my link. Quit buying bottled water. Quit using those cheap plastic bottles. and start looking at a way that you can provide the best quality water ever. Thank you, Cove Pure, for sponsoring today's video. China is trying to find ways to take their seized crypto and Bitcoin that they have gotten from different allocations and, of course, from their own people, and they're wanting to sell it off because their economy is slowing. Now, one thing people don't realize is China's economy is actually not as good as what everybody wants you to believe. They have a housing issue over there. The way they buy houses, unlike us, we go to the bank, we borrow the money, we go get in the house or build the house, and we're paying for it as we're living there. Their housing issue is almost like our Social Security. People buy into a condo or apartment or a home, and they start paying on it to one day when it's paid for, they move into it. Now, the problem here is this. It's almost like a Ponzi, because what happens is as other people are paying into it, they have to fulfill the houses that they were supposed to already fulfilled with the people that's quote-unquote paid for their homes. So they're running into issues where they're building all these high-rises and they're going broke and they can't build them all for all the money they've taken in to quote-unquote build them all. So it almost is like our Social Security, but it's with mortgages and housing crisis. So they have some major problems. Also, when the talks of tariffs came out, their market fell out even further than ours. They had to devalue their currency to at least try to keep it where they're at. China cannot operate in this world without exporting. Okay, so you know how we become the biggest consumer, they've become the biggest exporter. So if people are not buying their goods, or we help stop the flow of their goods, it destroys their economy that's already in bad shape. So now, because of what we're doing to them and because of tariffs talks, now China's trying to figure out ways to make money. So now they're trying to sell seized Bitcoin. They have about 194,000 Bitcoin, approximately worth $16 billion, and they're trying to unload some of that to try to help balance out what's going on right now in their market. Also, what's happening is Trump is trying to utilize the 70 negotiations that he's working on right now to stop trade routes in China's goods. Now, what does that mean? That means as he's negotiating these routes, especially like with Japan, with South Korea, with a lot of the areas that did business with China, he's saying, look, if you want to do business with us, you're going to have to cut the exports down. You're going to have to cut the trade moving and the goods of China's goods to you to other places. Because what they're trying to do is go around and do an end around and find loopholes around these tariffs. So what he's saying is, look, if you're going to do business with us, and you have to do business with us, or we're going to sink your economy too, because we are the biggest consumers of just about every country. So a lot of these countries are now saying, look, I'm going to have to choose America. And so therefore, what we've done is we're negotiating with 70 countries to stop the flow of Chinese goods. Now you may think, oh, that's dirty. That is dirty. No, what that is that is negotiation. And that is a brilliant goat move by Trump and this administration. What they're saying is, look, if you're not going to play hardball, if you want to try to hold off and try to cause problems for trade and still keep these deficits, we're going to cause problems. What people don't realize, and I think we think in a kindergarten level sometimes because we let the politicians and media spin it, this has never been about tariffs. I know you're hearing that. I know Trump says tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. It's about negotiating better trade deals and making money from these countries. And yes, we will have tariffs. And yes, they will hopefully reciprocate, or they'll be balanced out. The problem right now is we're in a deficit. So the things that we're buying is costing us more money on the federal level, which ultimately we think we're getting cheap goods, but actually it's still costing us a lot more money because of the inflation and the fact that we're not doing business here now. We've lost that mojo to manufacture here. So what Trump is doing is now we're going to basically choke out China, meaning China cannot sell their goods to these places without paying the U.S. tariffs. Now, was our goal to have 145 or 245% tariffs on anything China, and we want to make sure those goods are coming at a high price and it's going to cost everybody more? No, it's not about that. It's about negotiating, saying, look, we don't want to keep 245% tariffs on you, but we don't want to pay high tariffs either. So therefore, we're going to reciprocate and we're going to balance this out because you need me like I need you. I mean, it really is a relationship where we need each other to do business across the world. So what we're doing is we're choking them out. It's kind of like when you're a mom and pop. And I know this may not be the best analogy, but if you're a mom and pop store selling all goods to this local town, well, if all of a sudden the local town has a Walmart, all of a sudden Dollar General comes in, Dollar Tree comes in, Home Depot comes in. All of a sudden, Lowe's comes in. And so all of a sudden, your competition was nothing, so you could charge what you want, people would buy what they wanted. Now there's providers that do it cheaper, more economical, and can get goods quicker and can have more options. Now, it sucks to be the mom and pop, and I understand, that's not what we want in our towns. But that's what we're trying to do to China, is we're trying to say, look, we're going to compete with you, and we're going to surround you, and we're going to make sure that everybody that you sold to can buy it better from us and better negotiating tools and tactics from us. So therefore, if they need you, they're going to make you still pay high tariffs. They're not going to let you just take advantage of them like you have before. Brilliant move. And people think, oh, that's not going to happen. I mean, that's not helping us any. It's helping us so much that now they're trying to sell Bitcoin that they've taken from people. Not only that, they devalued their yuan. Not only that, we have one more card that we may play, and Trump may play it. Listen to this. Trump may consider what he calls the quote-unquote nuclear option. What that nuclear option would do is it would make people who own international stocks or China stocks, like big companies that are invested into the Chinese market, pull them back. Sell everything. Now, you may say, well, that's not freedom. So what do you think China is doing to our treasury bonds? What do you think they're doing? They're selling, trying to make our treasury bonds go up, which makes our interest goes up, which makes problems for our economy. So what Trump's supposed to do is say, I'm probably supposed to do the same thing, and it's going to hurt you a lot worse because it's going to devalue your yuan even more. It's going to make your stock market tank even more than ours have tanked. See, that's what we're missing on all this. Our markets have went down because of negotiation, trying to get to a better mountaintop experience for America and be truly better again. Here's the thing. Ours is not hurting nearly as bad as some of the other ones. Don't let all the market disruptors and all the media and all the politicians tell you how bad it is on us. It's not. It's really not. They're wanting to cause chaos to make you get mad at these tariff situations. And actually what we're doing is we're going to end up saving more people money with tax situations. We're going to end up doing better because we're going to have better negotiations. And also, like the Fed chair said, if we don't start becoming more sustainable and we don't start getting on a balanced budget, you're not going to be able to make it. America can't keep living like this. We're unsustainable. He may want to say it in a way like I just said. He said, well, it's just not sustainable. But what he's actually saying is we're fixing to fall into something way deeper than a recession because of the way we spend our money. And he wasn't blaming Trump. He was actually blaming Congress. So when we want, Congress to codify all these things that Trump is doing, they ain't done it yet. So you better get on the phones and call your congressman, by the way. But what he's doing is he's choking out that competition. He's trying to hurt them to a point where they'll come to the negotiating table. It is a brilliant, brilliant move. Because when people are at their wits' end and their people start getting mad that they're keep on losing, they're going to say, you better negotiate. And then you're going to see Xi come to the table. You don't believe me? 2 weeks ago, they were saying, we'll never negotiate. I don't care what this war cost us. Trade war, hot war, doesn't matter. This week, they're saying, well, we're open to negotiation as long as Trump respects us. You watch. Next week, they will be open to negotiations, and you will see China come to the table. Bookmark it. And then you can come back and laugh at me if I'm wrong. But I promise you, you're supposed to see a trade negotiation. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see our market, their market, everybody's market goes up. Because you know what? NVIDIA, who is heavily invested in America, who is heavily invested in China, just had a meeting with China. Walmart just went over to China and started going to their trade fairs. You think Walmart has a footprint in China to say, if you want to sell your goods through me, you may need to come to the table. You don't believe that's going to put pressure on them? It's going to put pressure on them, especially NVIDIA. NVIDIA just said they're going to invest $500 billion, at least up to $1 trillion here in America. And then Trump said you can't sell your chips to China, and all of a sudden Jensen Huang goes over there to try to negotiate. Watch if you don't see China come to the table. That negotiation will take place, and the trade deficit will be a whole lot better. Now, for the reason I tell you, because of that though, the escalation's here. I'm going to talk about 5 things that are going to be impossible to either get or very expensive over the next few days and weeks. So please pick these things up. Do not allow these things to get more expensive. Number 1, pharmaceuticals. I've been beating that drum a lot. I don't like pharmaceuticals. I challenge you not to take them, but there's people that are on daily regimens, and you need something like a Jace Case or Jace Daily. You need something like the Wellness. You need some way. You can go to your local doctor, pharmacy. You need to find a way to get some more prescriptions and put them up. For safety, for security, and for emergency. You don't believe you need it? You need it. You have to have that safety protocol there. Number 2, freeze-dried foods or dried goods. I know this sounds crazy, but what you don't realize, and we're going to talk about how dangerous our food system is, but what you don't realize is our food is mostly imported. Gosh, that's hard to say. And the food that's raised here is not enough for America because we don't have enough people. And we'll talk about that in just a second. The vulnerability with our food. But please buy some freeze-dried foods. I mean, it costs you $50, $100, $150, depending on what size tote you're buying. Freeze-dried foods last 30 years. They can put them on the shelf. And I would buy 1 tote or 2 totes per person in your home. And then add to it. But the stress of not having medicine, not having food is huge. Number 3, fat source. Now, fat's kind of weird, isn't it? Lard, butter, of course, that's what you need. And if you can raise it holistically, raise it holistically. If you can buy it from a local farmer, buy it from a local farmer. But if you can't, avocado oil, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, all those things are not really native to America. Those things are fixing to go up in price and hard to get. And then you're going to be left with trash synthetic oils that are causing more damage than are actually good. The vegetable oils, get away from them. Seed oils, get away from them. Buy some oils and get them in your pantry right now because they're fixing to go up. Number 4, canned food, canned meat, anything like that, please put on the shelves. Your chickens, your tunas, all that stuff, get on the shelves. Not only that, any kind of canned protein powder, all those things. Some of them say made in America. No, they're not. They're distributed in America. Most of them are coming from overseas. Those tariffs will hit that, and it will be harder to find. Walmart, Dollar Tree, Dollar General, all these places came out and stated that shelves will be bare for some things until they see negotiations come through. So please purchase some canned proteins. Number 5, electronics. I've told you this before. I don't challenge you to go spend $1,000 on a cell phone. I think it's stupid. But if you are in need of a phone, Apple's already came out and said there will be a 20% charge probably coming if the negotiations are not done soon enough. So if you're buying some kind of smartphone, please do. But here's what I did. Last week I bought a burner phone. I bought what they call a dumb phone. The reason is because the more escalation happens, how safe is anything on your phone? You think there'll be cyber attacks that could be escalated over the next coming weeks? Absolutely. FBI and DHS just warned that you could see more ramp-ups of cyber risk because of these negotiations. So why don't we look at maybe, of course, having your phone. If you need to go get a phone, understandable. But maybe buying a burner phone. Maybe buy other forms of communication. Satellite texting, a satellite phone, satellite internet, CB radios, walkie-talkies. It may sound crazy, but if you have to communicate with someone, it may be wise to find another alternative way other than just this cell phone that is made literally in China. So those are some of the things you need to pick up. Now, last story I want to touch, and this is one that is so important to me because it deals with your food. I want you to pay attention to what was said by Casey Means, and then we'll talk about our food system and how vulnerable it is. 99% of our farmlands are sprayed with synthetic pesticides. And we just heard it on a lot of the conversations that are coming out, getting exposed, is that a lot of these synthetic fertilizers are causing things, are linked to ADHD, autism, hormonal imbalances, disruption with thyroids, male and female problems with infertility, Alzheimer's, dementia, birth defects, obesity, liver problems, and cancer. The same company that's spraying is the same company that's buying food. The same company that's buying food is the same company that produces the pharmaceuticals to treat all this. You don't believe that's a problem? That is a huge problem. The more we allow these things to keep happening to our food that's been allowed by our government, the more problems we're going to have. Now let's go to this last little statement I want to bring up. The biggest crisis, and this comes from a farmer, he said, somehow we're missing the biggest crisis in America. The national security threat and health crisis has nothing to do with tariffs. Actually, it has nothing to do hardly with the government. It has to do with one main shortage that's happening. It's our food, quality food, and our farmer. So 60% of all our pork is produced by one company. That one company is 100% owned by China. So are you worried about your food? I mean, here we are. They won't even allow some of the ingredients that goes into that, the additives that goes into American pork. It can't happen in China. Something to think about. 4 companies control 85% of the meat that's produced in America. 3 of those companies. China, 2 Brazilian companies, only 1 is American. 99% of chicken, 95% of hog, 78% of cattle are raised in confines and CAFOs and things that are not natural to those animals. They're raised in houses that are just full of diseases and problems. And so therefore, guess what? More meds. There is more than 10,000 different additives that can be added to your U.S. food supply. You know, when I harvest like the lard and all this food, when you like this lard, there's nothing added to it. It's just lard. It's rendered down pork fat. Our butter, same way. Everything you see on the shelf, there's no additives to it. Now go to Chick-fil-A and look at how much is added to that chicken breast. Now go to your local Walmart and see how much is added to one loaf of bread. You wonder why my milk only lasts 6 days and you can go to Walmart and buy it and it lasts 2 months? Because the additives, the dangers of it. 80% of antibiotics consumed in the U.S. are fed to animals. Think about that. I mean, that is just unbelievable that out of 100% of people and 100% of antibiotics produced, 80% is in your food. It's in your food. In 2016, 18.4 million pounds of antibiotics were sold for livestock only. 18.4 million pounds. That is what you're eating. Listen to this. Among farmers, the suicide rates are higher than it is in any other profession, including veterans, because the farmer has been raked over the coals by our government, by the tax system, by big farm, big ag, by the companies that own the fertilizer and pesticide, because that's what everybody believes. They got to have all the stuff that's produced that's not natural in the co-ops. And then what happens is all of a sudden the farmer can't afford to actually produce the crop. What are you going to do? 10% of the farmers in America produce just about all the food that Americans eat other than what we get across overseas. Shortage of farmers is a big deal. The shortage of good quality food is a big deal. And the more we rely on this stuff, the more you're going to need those pharmaceuticals we talked about. So what the Fed is talking about, how we need to watch Medicaid, Medicare spending, well, the more that we allow people to get this trash in our diet, the more we're going to need more funding there. What Trump is worried about with China, the more we produce the pharmaceuticals here at home, at least we know what's in them. The more we balance out the deregulation on manufacturing and people here back at home, the more we'll see people have better jobs. The more we'll see people have better food. The more we see people be more independent and not dependent. But until we realize the shortage of farmers and the shortage of good food, the more we're going to probably see a famine. And as this guy said, the biggest national security concern and crisis is the fact that our food system is completely broken. And we're not dependent on just manufacturing in America. We're dependent on China for our food. We're dependent on Brazil for our food. We're depending on those pharmaceuticals and those pesticides going in our food. And that is what's scary. Guys, let me know your thoughts on today's video. I want you to pay attention because these 5 things are very important. But more than that, the biggest shortage that we have in America is that we don't have good quality food and we don't have the farmers to grow it. And that is catastrophic. Be ready, be vigilant, pay attention, and again, share this with someone that may can help. This may be one of the biggest and most important videos I've made. Guys, thank you for watching. God bless.